No one in this world can you trust. Not men, not women, not beasts. This you can trust.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Glory of Golden State Gaming. I'm your host Swamp Swimmer, and with me, as always, the skipper to my Gilligan, Vespacian.
Hey everybody, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here.
I like that one. A 3-hour tour. So anyway, back to our little pre-bat rep chats. We've gone through a bunch of the secondary objectives. I think we're down to the last two, but I think we should talk about probably the most controversial of the secondary objectives would probably be capture the flags.
Ding ding ding. Yeah, I agree.
Capture the flags is it's worded really weirdly, but basically the number of scoring opponent units left on the board at the end of the game up to 3 or something. The wording's really strange, but basically the objective is to kill your opponent's scoring units. I think the part that's controversial about this puts MSU armies, multiple small unit armies, at a disadvantage because you got those little units that you throw out there for chaff, and they're dispensable units, and your opponent's winning the secondary because of that. This goes down to list building. It hurts MSU armies, but I know a lot of tournaments that choose intentionally not to do this secondary objective. What do you think about it? I think I'm on the side where I don't like this secondary because I like, if I want to use scoring core units as throwaway units, chaff units.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's it's kind of an interesting one. I think Mass CD on his channel just recently said that what he didn't like about flags was that it created really standoffish games because armies that sometimes relied on their cheap scoring units as backup chaff have a lot of play options eliminated by needing to preserve their scoring units, right? So I think that's a really good way of looking at it. I've seen people argue that small scoring units are not that great, and why punish people for taking them with 1 out of 6 missions, which I think is an okay argument. I do think that the seeing people deploy whatever you've seen before, 20 units of 15 Dread Elf spears, or it's pretty rare, but there are some people that do spammy stuff, especially playing online when you can. It feels a little like it could open up some play styles that maybe would be a little bit less desirable, but I honestly, I don't think those armies are that great or overpowered. So, if people want to play with them because they're themey, kind of go ahead. So yeah, I'm sort of in the camp of I'm not sure that the objective is really hitting the mark. Maybe there'd be a more elegant way to achieve the same kind of outcome, which is to not have people spam units. Maybe that's an army book problem and shouldn't be solved by missions. I don't know.
I agree. I think you hit the nail on the head. That needs to be solved with limitations on unit numbers, number of single units in army books. I'm 100% on board with that. But I do like the idea of one of the secondary objectives being focused on killing one particular piece of your opponent's army. I think the other one that goes hand in hand in that with this is an old 8th edition kind of objective was to kill characters. Now that has its own problems in itself, but I like the idea of forcing to win the secondary. You need to focus on killing one particular thing across the other side of the board. So again, I'm one of the people who's complaining about it, but I have no solution. But I think it just needs to be reworked. I'm not on board for just getting rid of this objective completely, but I think it needs to be reworked. But
maybe you choose the unit or units, but there's like a point threshold, like it has to be above 300 points.
That could work.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I have just off the cuff. I mean, it could be maybe there's something in there that backfires that I haven't thought of, but maybe that would be a way to, to solve that problem.
But to get back to the actual question or the actual discussion about tactics, let's say you are running an MSU kind of list and you run into a tournament game where you're playing Capture the Flags. Is there a strategy there? And I think being cautious.
This is a great report.
Oh, really?
This is a great report. You want to watch? I don't have to talk. You can see what I do.
Well, anyway, my off the top of my head is to be cautious, and you can't be aggressive with throwing chaff out there because your chaff will go away very quickly. It's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to counter, but it's something to think about. But as you said, let's get to the battle report. Let's see here. We are in round 5 of March to War in Portland, Oregon. This is Vespacian's game. We already went through my round 5 game. I ended up kind of where I always do in the tournament, somewhere in the middle. And Vespacian, you're competing for a top table here, right? Round 5, you're on table 1 or 2 or 3, maybe? 2.
2 or 3, I think. Yeah, so I had 2 big wins, 2 draws. So
Okay.
I was sitting on 30 to 36, 56 points after 4. So yeah, within contention.
That's exciting. And you get paired into Derek. Which Derek is this?
Derek from the South Bay.
Oh, okay. Same Derek I'm thinking of. He plays all different armies, so I never know which Derek it is. But it is Frontline Clash, Capture the Flags. He's playing Empire Sonnstahl. If you are interested in Vespasian's list, please click the link right above my head. It is the round 1 video where we go a little more deeper into his list, or click the link in the description below where it is from a podcast from the Pacific Northwest guys where they go over a full list review called The Mid-Table Menaces. So check that out. But let's go ahead and talk about Derek's list. Okay, so he's got the Master in Cosmology with Essence of Mithril and Crystal Ball, so he's a little tough. He's got some defense. He's got a Wizard on Arcane Engine, Arcane Shield, Apprentice on Divination with a little armor and a Dragonfire and Gem. A Prelate General, Great Weapon, Imperial Seal, Crown of Autocracy, Lucky Charm. A Prelate Great Weapon, Heavy Armor, Destiny's Call. Marshal, BSB, Double Aether Icon, Willa's Ward, and Death Warrant. It's an interesting setup of characters. He's got a big block of Halberdiers with the Rending Banner. He's got a smaller unit of just swordsmen. He's got light infantry with crossbows, 2 state militia, chaff running around, a big block of Imperial Guard with great weapons and Banner of Discipline, 6 Imperial Rangers, a volley gun, a steam tank, and 30 flagellants. Flagellants. So infantry heavy with a steam tank and flagellants, which is unique. A big block of flagellants. What do you think of this list?
Yeah, I think some slightly off meta choices. I think the volley gun as opposed to sort of typical cannon. He's gone with the shield, great weapon, guard, right? So they're distracting rather than lightning reflexes. He's gone for an extremely stable discipline, right? So he's got the Crown of Autocracy in the big bubble, right, with Banner Discipline on his big Imperial Guard unit. So he's got maybe that unit ran away one time. I don't know. But yeah, I think if you flip to the next one, I think I rated this not such a great. I think so. I had this as an orange. He's got lots of shooting, so solid range pressure. Really need to try to, win the range game to begin with, because the truth is that I can't really engage the Imperial Guard block or the Flagellant block with anything, right? So I need to really try to use my mobility, and this is where the fact that it is flags and I have 3 cheap core units that I usually would use as chaff on gigantic Death Stars, like that Imperial Guard unit, it comes into play, right? So it's a challenging one to work on this list. But yeah,
This is
expected
perfect
a tough
timing.
match.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
All right, so and we see Derek here doing his usual thing. He always poses for photos. Derek's a great opponent. Howdy, Derek. I actually just played him last weekend at his house. Great guy. But let's talk about deployment. Go ahead and spell this out for me.
Yeah, so if I recall correctly, this was, I want to say that it was marching columns, and
No, it's just
so it was one of the ones that,
it's just
was
frontline
it, or
clash.
was it
Yeah.
frontline? Oh, okay. Maybe it was one of the, so either way, we exchanged one or two drops at the beginning, and then ultimately, I think, I guess we can see, I think I dropped for first, but to kind of walk you through it, left to right, on my side, I've got one of my Heath Hunter units, the 9 Sentinels, big unit of archers, which I redeployed there, the 2 trees, the Pathfinders, which I scouted there, the Thicket Beasts, the 2 Eagles, kind of in a flexible central chaffing position, one of the Heath Hunter units hiding behind the Impassable there, ready to escape either way. Another unit of Sentinels, and then the other unit of Heath Hunters there on the right. It may be a little hard to tell, but that big thing there, we played that as a hill, sort of.
Oh, this thing here.
Yeah, that little formation there. Yeah, you can see my Sylvan Forest there. Sort of, wanted to cover the gap and create lots of cover against his shooting. And then on his side, you can see kind of that weird, like, striated rock thing as a sort of tall pillar impassable there. He's got the big halberdier unit. I want to say that in front there is a militia unit, kind of strung out, and then the volley gun, the light infantry with, I think it's crossbows, the arcane engine, the Imperial Guard, the other unit of militia up front there, and then the flagellants, and then he's got the small support unit over on the right hand side, the steam tank, and then scattered up in front is the Rangers there.
Okay. All right, real question.
Sorry, leaning forward, so I can't see.
Is it flagellants, or how do you pronounce it?
Flagellants.
Flagellants? I don't know.
Flagellants. No, yeah. I should look it up.
All right, so there's deployment. Let's see. Let's go to next photo here. This is top of...
Yeah, so I went first. That's what I thought. Yeah. So basically, you can see now what I'm doing with my Heath Hunters. They're all sort of back in my deployment, hidden behind Impassable. The one that I had deployed behind the Impassable is running over into the corner to get away. Right. So I just, you can see now what my strategy is there, which is basically to have them not participate in the game. Otherwise, I sort of shuffle my line a little bit to the left. I pull the Tree Fathers back so that either he can't shoot both of them or can't shoot either of them with the stank. And I also I make sure I'm out of range of the volley gun, but you can also see that between my Sentinels, Archers, and Pathfinders over on the left, I've got a lot of my shooting power aimed towards his light infantry, militia, and the volley gun, right?
Yep.
So that's kind of the approach that I'm taking there. So I got a good magic card, but then Derek was almost like apologetic. I just rolled like absolute garbage for the first like 2 or 3 magic phases. So I think I get off Oaken Throne and maybe nothing else, just from like real bad dice. And also in this turn, you can kind of see I do a decent amount of damage to the light infantry. I think I'd peel off maybe like 8-ish. Was hoping for more, right? With that much shooting fire, aimed at them. Was hoping for more. I also take off with the Sentinels on the right. I think a couple of the Rangers in the middle there. So you can see I'm following the brief. I'm going after all of his shooting, right? Counter battery, so that I can try to win the range war. And that was my turn 1.
All right, and it looks like I see card 5 here. So you got the big Veil token phase also.
It just did that.
Oh,
yeah, it was
horrible.
really It was real crap. It was like, rolling 3 dice to cast Stars Align and rolling like a 6. Like it was just but all 2s so that I didn't get any back. Like it was like that kind of stuff. So it was really awful.
All right, let's see here. Next one is top of 2 movement.
Okay. So you can see Derek basically came forward, but to be honest with you, a little bit more cautiously than I thought that he would or should, right? Given that I think he outfights me across his 3 bricks. So he really, it just kind of moved forward a little bit, but not too much. And so you can see I get the 4 card here, so another decent card. And once again, it just failed to do really anything material that I can recall. But you can also see that Derek's counter battery against me was pretty much completely ineffective. I think he killed like 2 sentinels over on the right hand side, couple there, really not much. So we were both sharing a pretty bad turn. So in this turn, I'll have to recall my memory, but I believe that it's this turn where I take off his light infantry completely. You can see they didn't move, and I believe that I take them down. And I'll have to look at the next picture. I don't want to spoil it, but I take them down. I think I probably kill the volley gun too, or damage it severely, and continue working on his shooting basically. Otherwise, I really don't move much. You can see I'm staying in this.
There's really no movement. Yeah, and you continue to run these Heath Riders far to the left.
Exactly right. Get out of there.
And this is the Tree Father, right? You moved him behind the hill. Is that to get away from the cannon?
Yeah, the caster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can't remember exactly what I was thinking there, but it probably was just because of the steam tank range. I just didn't want to give him the opportunity to put a lot of wounds through on that guy.
Okay, let's see here. Next photo. This is top of 4.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what I thought happened, and sorry for the skip here, but so when I take off the light infantry, I believe from the last photo, actually Derek fails the rerollable 9 or 10 panic check on his arcane engine, and then rolls like an 11 or 12, and it runs off the board. Yeah.
Jeez.
So
wait,
it's not like an.
Aren't militia? Are they light troops or are they militia? They're light troops.
The
okay.
crossbow.
Yeah. Because I think militia are insignificant, but I am not light troops. So go ahead and continue.
Yeah. So I think that's what I believe that's what happened. And so that was a loss because he'd given that guy with the EOS ability, he'd given him Fireball, which is a great spell down the stretch against Sylvans, right? So a fairly big loss there. And so what you can see basically in Derek's turn 2 is he decides with the volley gun, the arcane engine, and the light infantry down that he needs to push. So he basically shoves everything up. He pushes up the Imperial Guard, he pushes up the Flagellants, and he pushes up the Halberdier unit. But in doing so, he puts the Halberdier unit up into a place where I can pretty easily charge it with the Avatar, and I think there was just like some sort of odd positioning where he wasn't able to fully close it, or something like that. And so I basically got the Avatar and then ultimately the Tree Father Ancient into the Halberdier unit and just killed his prelate, just started smashing that unit down, and eventually he failed the rerollable break test, or maybe I got him out of the BSB. So eventually he broke on the Steadfast, and I sort of crumbled that left flank. So you can see now, this is after maybe 2 or 3 rounds of combat where he eventually broke. I've got the 2 Tree Fathers into his backfield. Derek failed a couple of sort of like longish, medium ranges charges with the Imperial Guard. I think with my Eagles in play, he knew that if he just marched forward that I would be able to chaff and kind of scatter.
So yeah.
So I think he was trying to go for something big there. What you can see in the bottom right is a big development is that the stank gets into the thicket piece.
Okay, so he's in. I wasn't sure if he was in or not.
Yeah. So he gets into the thicket beast, and I think now we're pretty much caught up at this point. So I've cleared out essentially Derek's entire left. Halberdiers are fleeing and depleted. I've been able to essentially kill all of his shooting units. And you can now see, here's another great picture of what I'm doing with my Heath Hunters over there in the bottom left, ready to be redeployed into my army box. And then, hey, what are you gonna do? And then, so I think it's not the first turn, but maybe the next turn. The thicket beasts just do an absolute number on that steam tank. I think I get Stars Align off or something. Yeah, the volume of Strength 5, AP 2.
They're just AP 2 though, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the BSB is AP 3. And so I think like each turn the BSB was doing a wound, and if you hit a lot, you do call it 5-6 wounds. He fails 2 or 3. I actually end up going through that steam tank either this turn or the next. So I think we can flip forward to the next picture.
Let's see here. This is bottom of 4. Okay, so now the steam tank's
inside. So I think I do 3 or 4 wounds to steam tank the first turn. Derek turns the Imperial Guard because now I've got the Tree Fathers kind of breaking through there on the left. And you can see the Imperial Guard have shrunk. I have, just for lack of targets, had to shoot at them. They've also gone through my woods with one of those failed charges and taken a couple of rounds of DTs, basically. So they are getting depleted, and it's at this point, at the end of Derek's turn here, that I'm still stuck on the steam tank, but I'm contemplating. I've got 2 Tree Fathers. I could go into that Imperial Guard unit, start. The Avatar with AP4 is pretty decent at killing those 1-up characters. And,
yeah.
He's pretty depleted. I had a really big decision to make here because that's the path to a 20, right? If I can go through the Imperial Guard by the end of the game, get all of his characters, that's the end, right?
Yeah, really. That's the win scenario. Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't do it. I decided, spoiler alert, I decided not to go in. Now, I was excited about it, but at the end of the day, I think it was the wrong decision, and so I hope I made the right one. So here, not much to tell. Basically, with Derek's movement, he just kind of redresses his lines. I think we can go into the next one.
Top of 5.
Yeah, so what I do here, his decimated halberdier unit in the back there rallies with like 10 guys left or 9 guys left. That's a decent amount of points, and so rather than going to the Imperial Guard, what I do is I use the Eagles to chaff. I turn all the guns, both the Strangle Roots from the Tree Fathers, the Sentinels, etc., archers, all towards that unit over there. And by the end of my shooting with all of that, he is left with 1 guy left who passes his discipline check, which is just soul crushing. I think it's here that I take off.
1 guy with all the characters.
No, in the halberdiers, there were no.
The halberdiers. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. So that guy's left with 1 guy. The Imperial Guard, there's just too many left. I didn't want to bother, with the save that they have. I think it's here that I take off the steam tank, and that is just enough time for Derek to put his flagellants in. I think he's trying to basically get points, maybe assassinate the BSB or something like that.
Yeah.
But I end up, just 2 stubborn or unbreakable units, just grinding on each other. Nothing happens. And that is essentially where the game ends. So yeah.
One more picture here. This is end of game.
Oh really? This is end of game.
Yeah.
Oh okay. So here's the flagellants into the treekin down there. You can see the 1 halberdier left in the middle of his movement train. And I don't really think there was much that Derek could do this turn other than try to get the BSB, which he didn't get. And that was the end of the game. So I think the next picture is a little bit of a spoiler on the results of the tournament.
No, that's
right?
that. I have that picture. It's the last picture. Don't worry.
You saved it. Okay, got it.
That's the end of the game, and you ended up with a 17, which is a very nice win on round 5 on table 2.
Yeah, I got to be honest. After the first turn, I was pretty nervous. I felt like he was gonna just descend on me with those massive blocks. But it ended up I got a little lucky and won the ranged war and won the objective by taking off the light infantry. And got a little extra lucky down the stretch taking the stank off and stuff like that. So yeah.
So you said
points.
the Imperial Guard went for a couple long charges. Like how long were they?
I think there was one that was like an 11, and one that was like a 9.
Oh, see the 9.
Yes.
That's a doable charge.
Yeah, I was backed up honestly, and what I was, but I think if I recall correctly, it was into the Treekin, right? And it would have been, this turn before might have been the 9, right? So it was into the Treekin, and he was going through the forest. He would have ended up in the forest, so that I would be able to get the extra bonus, like swinging against him and stuff like that. And so I was just I felt like it was something where if he ended up getting stuck on the Treekin, for a period of time, that would allow my Tree Fathers to sweep. Because imagine if he does make it in, and then this turn my Tree Fathers are there to go into his flank, right?
Yeah.
So I wasn't like super upset about the prospect of it. Obviously, better for him not to make it because it's dicey, I think.
True. Well, yeah, that will take us to the last picture, which is someone won Best General. Vespacian, the Best General at March to War 2022. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah. It was the results of this game. So I finished a little early, and so there was a couple of outcomes on table 1 that would have resulted in me actually winning the whole thing, but it ended up being a kind of a big blowout for James Root, and so he ended up winning. So it was within my grasp, but not quite. So
17. Would you have won the whole tournament if you had gone into the Imperial Guard and had got a 20 out of this game?
No.
Okay.
In retrospect, no. Yeah.
So just a couple of questions I wanted to ask you. This is I think it's the first tournament I've seen you play Sylvan Elves. We already know from a list review video that in the next tournament that we're reporting on, you ran Demon Legions. Are you tempted to go back to Sylvan Elves? I mean, you won Best General.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence. I want to try sort of different types of lists with both the demons and the Sylvans. I liked, but spoiler alert, I liked the demons in the next tournament too. So I think I like them both. I think that both of the armies have some play styles I'm interested in. So it depends. We'll see. But I really like the Sylvans. It was a fun tournament.
Fair enough. After this, I'm not entirely sure which tournament we're going to go to next with a couple organizational things, but we'll see. Keep your eyes peeled. Please like and subscribe, and we'll be back with some more battle reports soon.
Thanks, everybody.